Hey there nation, welcome to the show where we help you to play miniatures wargaming on a budget. It is I, Commander CheapSkate, and we are back with another edition of Spoils of War. This is our series of videos that are dedicated to beer, cigar, as well as whiskey reviews. And today we are reviewing Abita Brewery Company's Purple Haze Raspberry Ale, as you can see here. Sorry, Raspberry Lager rather, sorry, not an ale. So you can see here, it's a very colorful label on it. It's made by the Abita Brewing Company. That's a brewery coming out of Louisiana, of all places, right down there on the Gulf Coast. Once again, as always, you guys, these videos are dedicated to our brother in arms across the sea. Big Puka, if you're watching this video, this is for you, buddy. So we're going to talk about this beer today, talk a little bit about the history of the company, where it comes from, and a little bit more about this beer, talk about what it contains. We'll then pop the bottle, see what kind of aromas and notes we get off of it, and then, of course, drink it and review the taste. So that being said, let's get this started. Alright, so let's go and talk about the bottle real quick. As you can see, it's a nice brown glass bottle. Helps to preserve the flavor. It says Abita Brewing Company. It's called Purple Haze. It's got this really trippy blue, purple, and green label on it. It looks like it has Baron Samedi from Voodoo lore, as well as from Made Famous by the James Bond series. As you can see, it says Raspberry Lager on it as well. As you can see, we got some literature on it, so let's go and read that real quick. Let's get focused in on here real fast. It says, experience the magic of Purple Haze. Clouds of real raspberries swirl in this tart and tantalizing lager inspired by the good spirits and dark mysteries of New Orleans. Brew with Pilsner and wheat malt along with Vanguard hops. Let the scent of berries and the hazy purple brew put a spell on you. Very cool wordplay there as well. Very, very neat. Oops, sorry about that. May have a little bit of a noise there. So you can see it's a really awesome looking bottle. It's 4.2% alcohol by volume, so it is kind of a lighter beer. It is a wheat, so usually wheat beers are usually kind of lighter as well. So very excited to try this out. This is actually recommended to me by a buddy of mine. He suggested I try it out and give it a taste and, tell me what you got from it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to crack this bottle open real quick, pour this into our Aperture Science Lab, our Science Lab pint glass because of reasons, and we're going to do that real quick. So we'll be back after we get done pouring it. Alright, we are back. We just got done pouring the contents of the bottle into the Aperture glass. A little bit of history about the Abita Brewing Company. It is located in Cummington, Louisiana. Originally, it was headquartered, I believe, a place called Abita Springs, Louisiana is actually the name of the place was. And of course, the brewery was actually originally founded because they actually used the mineral water from the Abita Springs that was flowing in the area to kind of use the water basis for their beer. That's originally how the company started. It's actually known for, it's one of its flagship beers is known as Turbo Dog. Turbo Dog is actually a pretty popular beer. You can see that sometimes in most places throughout the Midwest, as well as in the southeastern portion of the United States. They usually carry that's a very popular beer that they actually make. If I remember correctly, I believe this company is also like the 12th largest independent brewing company in the country as well. So they're slowly coming up and rising up at the ranks as well. In fact, Purple Haze is one of their flagship beers, what they're known for. So as you can see, just from looking at it from inside the glass, as you can see, it's got this beautiful kind of lavenderish kind of orangey color as well. It is an unfiltered wheat beer, so because of that, you can still see some of the residues that come through there. So you can see that the translucency of it is pretty opaque. The reason why is because it's an unfiltered wheat beer. In fact, you can see little bits and pieces of the fruit from the mash, as that there's actually mixed inside of it as well. It's got a very fragrant aroma coming from it as well. In fact, let's go ahead and see what kind of aromatic notes we get from it. So let's go ahead and all right, the very sweet, very fruity aroma coming off of this for a beer. It's actually very prevalent. You can definitely smell the raspberries in it as well, kind of like a hint of blueberry, also a little bit of blackberry as well. If you're a fan of berry infused beers and flavored beers, ales especially, this is actually really aromatic actually. It smells absolutely delicious. So it's also designed, as they said, they recommend it. You can pair it with some like desserts, as a kind of like a dessert beer. You can pair it with desserts, or you could also pair it with any main course that include any fruits, or you can just enjoy it by itself. So with that being said, let's go and give it a sip and try out this review. So Big Puka, this one's for you, buddy. Oh, that is delicious. Let's go and talk about the flavor real quick. For being a raspberry pilsner, being a raspberry lager, Sometimes you run into the risk of running into when you make infused beers with berries, especially, is that sometimes you could have too much berry flavor in the beers to where it's the point where it's kind of like you're drinking kind of like a really sweet kind of like fruit juice. In some cases, like, you know, fruit juice is fine. Nothing against that, and nothing against that if you like that kind of flavor in your beer. But personally, I like the more of the beer flavor than the sweetness. For example, Lightning Kugels, for example, they have a berry beer. I forgot what it's called. It has berries in it as well. It tastes too much like the fruit and not enough the beer flavor for me. So because that's kind of like a weird one for me. But this one is actually very mild. The berry flavoring, the raspberry especially, is very, very mild on it. It's very, very faint. It's more kind of like an aftertaste more than anything else. So you got kind of like a good, rich, refreshing, crisp lager flavor that kind of goes from the front. A very, very semi-sweet raspberry aftertaste. Is very, very drinkable and actually very refreshing as well. In fact, it's kind of a hot afternoon. I'm gonna actually have another sip of this because this is absolutely delicious. Very excellent. It's got kind of like a semi kind of tangy flavor to it. Very strong, very crisp, very clean tasting with a little bit of that raspberry note at the end. And then right afterwards, it just kind of like dissipates very, very quickly. The raspberry notes at the end of the aftertaste doesn't linger very long. It's just kind of like a nice little palate cleanser between moving on. So I can definitely see this being used as a really delicious pairing for like foods. So like if you're eating something like hamburgers or you're barbecuing or something, you need something like a palate cleanser, and you want something like a little bit like a berry infusion with that. This is absolutely delicious, and it's very refreshing. I will admit. Usually when it comes to lagers, I'm kind of a little bit apprehensive of lagers. I'm more of a ale guy myself. I like my heavier ales and stronger flavor ales and heavier stouts personally, but this lager is absolutely delicious. In fact, let's take one last sip of it before we end this review. Very, very good. So if you get a chance, go and look for this in stores. Abita sells its products in 46 states within the United States, so chances are you probably live in a state that actually has it. I'm going to actually spend the rest of this afternoon just sipping the rest of this beer because it's absolutely delicious. As always, you guys, please feel free to like, comment, and or subscribe. You guys' input is invaluable as always. Also, check us out on Facebook, Instagram, Google+, and Blogger.com for all the latest and greatest for our hobby. That's a good tip for this one, you guys. I'm going to sit back and enjoy this one. You guys take it easy. Peace out.